Alrighty, folks, welcome to our basketball free pick video here today for Monday, February 10th, 2025. My name is Brock Page. I've been dishing out free sports picks on YouTube since 2016. Of course, if you want to see which one of these games on this video that I actually like the best, you may want to think about signing up for my Gold Club package on my premium page. You get access to every single premium selection of mine, every single package, every single day for the next 30 days. And folks, we are 2-0 in our last two Gold Club tier package plays in that membership alone. And with that, we're going to jump right into some free content. We're going to start off in college basketball. Lafayette taking on Americans, 6 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Americans -3, totals 132. Of course, as good as Americans been here recently, they do have some issues on defense. They're actually 320th in the country in defensive field goal percentage. They also failed to cover the point spread recently against the likes of Bucknell and Army. And they're facing a Lafayette team on the other side who covered in 2 out of their last 3 themselves. They are a tough team to score points against. The Leopards are allowing just 69 points a game for the year. They really don't get into a ton of foul trouble on defense. 7-foot Justin Vanderbond, he has 62 blocks on the year, team leader in rebounds. And Ryan Pettit leads the program in steals. Now, total-wise, the Leopards saw overs recently versus Loyola, Holy Cross, and American University. Meanwhile, American on the other side, they saw 5 out of their last 7 get over the total themselves. I like Lafayette catching the points here. Give me the Leopards +3 over 132. All right, next contest. Got a lot of small school action here. Next game not on our big screen behind me, but it's going to be Florida A&M taking on Prairie View. That's a 7 o'clock Eastern tip. Prairie View, they are -1, totals 149.5. Now, Prairie View's just 4-19 on the season, 50% against the point spread. Meanwhile, Florida A&M's covered in 74% of their ball games themselves. They actually covered in their last 8 straight. I know this is a very small number here, but you gotta, at least give them credit for doing a great job against the number. Of course, on the offensive end of the court, the Rattlers love to shoot that deep ball. They're making nearly double-digit 3 balls a game. Sterling Young makes 40% of his deep balls, 15 points per contest. And Shakir O'Neal splashes 41% of his 3 balls. They're facing a Prairie View squad who lost their last 6 straight themselves. They've been pretty horrible on defense this year. They're allowing their opponents to make over 51% of their field goals against them. That is worst in college basketball. And no real surprise here. Prairie View, they're allowing 86 points a game for the entire year. Now, PV went 4-2 to the over in their last 6. FAMU saw overs recently versus Alabama A&M, Arkansas Pine Bluff, and Grambling. I like Florida A&M +1. Over 149.5. Next matchup, another barn burner here. Mississippi Valley State taking on Alcorn State, 7 o'clock East. Alcorn is favored by 18 points, totals 127. Alcorn 6-17 on the year, 63 points a game they're averaging on offense. Alcorn shooting only 39% from the field, and they actually get more shots blocked per game on offense than any other team in the country besides one. And they're taking out on a Delta Devils team on the other side who covered the point spread in 3 out of their last 4. Covers against the likes of Arkansas Pine Bluff, Southern University, and Grambling. So for a team catching an astronomical number, they've been pretty good against the number here over the past handful of weeks. And listen, there's not much to brag about when it comes to Mississippi Valley State. It's not an incredibly good basketball team, but take it for what it's worth. Their opponents are making just 69% of their free throws against them. So, you really got to search for some positives with these guys, but that is one of them. Now, MVSU went 60% to the under in their last 10. Alcorn went 7-3 to the under in their last 10 themselves. I like Mississippi Valley State plus 18, under 127. Next contest, Southern University taking on Alabama State, 7 o'clock East. Southern's minus 2.5 away from home, totals 142. The Jaguars are 15-8 on the year. Bama State just 9-14. Now, Alabama State, they're covering in just 27% of their games this year. And more recently, they failed to cover in their last 9 straight. Now, when it comes to shooting the basketball, Bama State's in the bottom 25 in shooting from the field. And they're facing a Southern squad who definitely plays tough on the defensive end of the court. They're allowing only 69 points a game. They rank 42nd in the country in field goals allowed. Baton Rouge's own Brente Noel, he leads the program in blocks. Damari Jones has the most boards. Now, Southern went 4-3 to the under in their last 7. Alcorn went 5-2 to the under in their last 7 themselves. Shout out to the Southern Marching Band for performing in the Super Bowl yesterday in the pregame. Did a great job there. I like Southern minus 2.5, under 142. Next game, North Carolina taking on Clemson, 7 o'clock East. Clemson's minus 5.5, totals 144. But both teams, listen, both programs, they've got their fair share of scores. These are two teams that can get to the basket. Clemson, they're averaging nearly 78 points a game. They're 17th in the country in shooting the long ball, doing a nice job shooting from beyond the arc. Chase Hunter, he's averaging 17.5 points per contest, 43% from downtown. And Chauncey Wiggins, he's knocking down 40% of his 3 balls. Now, UNC on the other side, well, they're averaging over 80 points a game themselves. RJ Davis, he's scoring 17 points per contest. Ian Jackson, 13 points a game himself. UNC saw overs recently versus Duke and Boston College. Meanwhile, Clemson saw 4 out of their last 6 get over the total themselves. I like the over 144. Next matchup, actually on our big screen behind me, East Texas A&M taking on McNeese State, 7 o'clock East. I think some books still have East Texas A&M listed as Texas A&M Commerce, possibly. But it's East Texas A&M taking on McNeese State, 7 o'clock East. McNeese is the heavy 19-point favorite, totals 135.5. McNeese 18-6 on the year. East Texas A&M just 3-21. Now, they also lost 9 out of their last 10 and plays just terrible on defense. They're in the bottom 15 in the nation in defensive field goal percentage. They're also 348th in guarding the 3-ball. Now, they're facing a McNeese squad who averages over 76 points a game. Top 50 in the nation in shooting from the field. Javon Garcia averages 13 points per contest. Christian Shumate makes nearly 60% of his field goals. And when it comes to defensive play, the Cowboys are allowing only 64 points a game. These guys have been dominant in conference play. Now, oddly enough, McNeese went 60% to the over in their last 10. Of course, East Texas, they went 7-3 to the over in their last 10 themselves due to that lack of defense. I think McNeese gets the job, done against the number. I know it's a huge number, but they should be able to take care of it. Give me the Cowboys of McNeese State, minus 19, over 135.5. All right, next matchup. Another one on the big screen. Northwestern State taking on Nichols, 7:30 East. Nichols State is minus 6.5, totals 137. Nichols is 15-9 on the year. Very good covering team as well, covering in 71% of their ball games. Northwestern State just 10-13 on the year themselves. Just 66 points a game they're averaging on offense. And no real surprise here, Northwestern State ranks 329th in field goals made per game. Now they're facing a Nichols team who's definitely tough to shoot the long ball against. They're actually 6th in the country in defensive three-point percentage, limiting opposing shooters to just 28% from three-land. Jamal West, he has the most blocks and rebounds. Meanwhile, the trio of English, Malone, and Searles, they have 75 steals between the three of them. I like Nichols, minus 6.5. Next contest, New Orleans taking on Incarnate Words, 7:30 p.m. East. Incarnate Words minus 11.5, totals 146 and a hook. IW is covering in 50% of their games this year. New Orleans on the other side, just 4-20 overall, losing record against the point spread. New Orleans also lost their last 6 straight, and they're allowing over 83 points a game. They're currently in the bottom 3 in the nation in field goals allowed per game. Meanwhile, IW on the other side, they are a top 40 field goal shooting team. Heyman and Pike are drilling 44% of their 3 balls, respectively. Davion Bailey scores 17 points a game for Incarnate Word. Now, IW saw overs recently versus Southeastern Louisiana, UT, Rio Grande Valley, and Nicholls State. Meanwhile, New Orleans, they went 7-3 to the over in their last 10. Give me Word, minus 11.5, over 146 and a hook. Next matchup, UT Rio Grande Valley taking on Stephen F. Austin, 7:30 East. Stephen F. Austin's minus 3, totals 143. The Lumberjacks got the W in 3 out of their last 4. They're 35th in the country in defensive turnovers. And aside from allowing only 65 points a game, they're limiting opposing shooters to just 39% from the field. Antwi Bosiaco has the most blocks and rebounds for Austin. Matt Heyman with a team-best 43 steals. Meanwhile, UT Rio Grande Valley, they lost 7 out of their last 10 themselves, having some trouble getting to the foul line. They're actually 338th in free throws made per game. Give me Stephen F. Austin, minus 3. Next game, Howard, Maryland Eastern Shore, 8 o'clock East. Howard's minus 7.5, totals 152 and a hook. Now the Howard Bison, they're averaging nearly 80 points a game, 12th in the country in shooting from downtown. These guys are drilling almost 40% of their three-pointers as a team. Marcus Dockery makes 43% of his deep balls, 17 points a game. And Blake Harper averaged nearly 20 points per contest himself. They're facing a Maryland Eastern Shore team who's just 4-18 on this season, bottom 25 in the country in points allowed. They're also 333rd in defensive field goal percentage. Now, total-wise, the Howard Bison, they saw their last 8 qualifying ball games get over the total. I like Howard minus 7.5, over 152 and a hook. Next ball game, another matchup that's not on our big screen, but some more small school action. Arkansas Pine Bluff taking on Jackson State, 8 o'clock East. Jackson State's minus 13, totals 154.5. Now, Jackson State's just 7-16 overall for the year, laying a pretty big number. All kinds of problems on defense. The Tigers allow nearly 80 points a game, bottom 10 in the nation in defensive boards. Meanwhile, Arkansas Pine Bluff covered recently versus Texas Southern, Grambling, and Bethune-Cookman. And when it comes to offensive production, they're averaging sorry, brain fart there. Arkansas Pine Bluff, they're averaging 74 points a game. Overs recently versus Mississippi Valley State, Grambling, and Florida A&M. Jackson State on the other side went 8-2 to the over in their last 10. I think Arkansas Pine Bluff can keep it respectful. I don't know. They're probably going to lose, but I think they can keep it within 13. I like Arkansas Pine Bluff plus 13, over 154.5. Next matchup, Bethune-Cookman taking on Texas Southern, 8 o'clock East. Texas Southern's minus 3, totals 142. Now, Texas Southern got the W in 7 out of their last 9. Just 66 points a game they allowed during that span, played some really good defense. They're also limiting opposing shooters to just 41% from the field. Kenny Hunter's got 30 blocks on the year, team leader in rebounds. And Kavion McLean, he's got a team-best 38 steals. Now, Bethune-Cookman on the other side, they're averaging just 67 points a game on offense, 30% shooting from three-land. The Wildcats are also 314th in the country in shooting from the field. I like Texas Southern minus 3. Next game, NC-A&T taking on Campbell, 8 o'clock East. Campbell's 11.5, totals 141. Campbell does have a winning record on the year, 64% against the point spread. NCAT, 4-20 overall themselves, losing record against the number. More recently, the Aggies lost their last 10 straight. They're allowing nearly 80 points a game on D. They're also in the bottom 5 in defensive boards. Now, Campbell definitely does a nice job at the stripe. They're a top 25 free throw shooting team. Colby Duggan, he's averaging 14.5 points per contest. Jason Sinani, he's second on the roster in scoring. The Fighting Camels, they did see a handful of overs recently as well. The Aggies on the other side, they went 3-2 to the over in their last 5. I like Campbell minus 11.5. Over 141. Next matchup, Southeastern Louisiana taking on Houston Christian, 8 o'clock East. Of course, some books still have them listed as Houston Baptist. But anyway, Houston Christian, they are -2, totals 142.5. Houston Christian saw overs in 4 out of their last 6. Overs against the likes of New Orleans, Nichols, and Corpus Christi. Meanwhile, Southeastern Louisiana went 60% to the over in their last 10. I like the over 142.5. All right, next matchup. Speaking of Corpus Christi, it's Texas A&M Corpus Christi taking on Lamar, 8 o'clock East. Lamar's the 2-point favorite, totals 142. Lamar's 14-10 on the year, losing record against the point spread. Corpus Christi, 15-10 themselves, 60% against the number. More recently, the Islanders covered in 7 out of their last 10. 11th in shooting from the field. Gary Clark averages a team-best 15 points per contest. Jordan Rogers, he's scoring nearly double-digit points a game. And they're facing a Lamar team who definitely struggles getting to the foul line. These guys are 308th in free throws made per game. They also saw overs recently versus Southeastern Louisiana, Nichols, and McNeese State. Meanwhile, Corpus Christi on the other side, they saw overs in their last 4 straight themselves. Give me Texas A&M Corpus Christi +2 over 142. Next matchup, Grambling, Alabama A&M, 8 o'clock East. Grambling's -2 away from home, totals 140.5. Of course, both schools with just 7 wins on the year, losing records against the point spread. Grambling did go 60% to the under in their last 10. Meanwhile, Bama A&M, they saw unders recently versus Alabama State, Alcorn. I like the under 140.5. Next contest, Charlotte, Florida Atlantic, 9 o'clock East. FAU's -13.5, totals 150. FAU's 13-10 on the year. Charlotte just 9-15. The 49ers have a losing record against the point spread, 322nd in shooting from the field. When it comes to grabbing boards, they are a bottom 25 offensive rebounding team. Now, FAU covered in their last 3 straight, 4 months straight up in their last 5. And during that 5-game stretch I just mentioned, the Owls did average over 81 points a game. Caleb Glenn, he's leading the team in scoring, 40% from three-land. And Kai Tandy makes 41% of his attempts from beyond the perimeter. FAU went 60% to the under in their last 10. Charlotte went 7-3 to the under in their last 10 themselves. Give me FAU -13.5, under 150. Next game, Baylor, Houston, 9 o'clock East. Houston's -8.5, totals 132. The Cougs are 19-4 on the year, 12-1 straight up at home. Meanwhile, Baylor, they're 15-8 themselves, but they do struggle against the number. They're covering in only 40% of their ball games, failed to cover in 6 out of their last 9. When it comes to defensive play, the Bears definitely have a tough time guarding the long ball. They're 326th in defensive three-point percentage. And they're facing a Houston squad who got the W in 9 out of their last 10. And they've just been impossible to score points against. The Cougs are allowing just 57 points a game. That is an NCAA best. They're also limiting opposing shooters to just 19 field goals a game. That is also best in the NCAA. Joseph Tugler leads the program in blocks. Jawan Roberts has the most rebounds. Houston saw unders recently versus West Virginia, Utah, and UCF. Baylor saw 5 out of their last 9 stay under the line themselves, throwing out their UCF contest. I like Houston minus 8.5, under 132. Next, a final breakdown for college basketball. Stay tuned. We got some NBA coming up. Fresno, Nevada, 11 o'clock East. Nevada's minus 14, totals 142. The Wolfpack's 13-10 on the year. Fresno just 5-19. More recently, the Bulldogs lost their last 6 straight. 85 points a game they allowed during that span. Meanwhile, Fresno, they're dead last in defensive boards, bottom 3 in field goals allowed. And they're facing a Nevada team who won their last 2 straight. Nice job shooting the basketball. Nick Davidson makes 40% of his 3 balls, 15 points a game for him. And Xavier Dussel, he's shooting 43% from long range. Nevada went 60% to the over in their last 10. Fresno saw 6 out of their last 10 get over the total themselves. Give me Nevada minus 14, over 142. With that, we're going to jump into some NBA action. First game, Hawks Magic, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Orlando's minus 6, totals 222. The Magic saw overs in 2 out of their last 3. Overs against San Antonio and Sacramento. They're also doing a nice job getting to the stripe on offense. They're 7th in the league in free throw attempts. Now, Atlanta saw overs in 4 out of their last 6 themselves. Overs against San Antonio, Detroit, and the Pacers. They are a top 10 point-producing team. Now, injury-wise, Trae Young's questionable with an Achilles. Keep an eye on him. Jalen Suggs day-to-day for Orlando. And when it comes to selecting a winner in this one, this game is being featured as today's NBA tier package play. But as far as making a free pick is concerned, I like the over 222. Next ball game, T-Wolves Cavaliers, 7 o'clock East. Cleveland's minus 9.5, totals 230. Cleveland 42-10 on the year, 63% against the point spread. Minnesota on the other side, covering in just 43% of their ball games. Failed to cover recently against the likes of Sacramento, Washington, and Atlanta. Minnesota definitely tends to turn it over on offense. They're in the bottom 10 in field goals made. Meanwhile, Cleveland on the other side, top 10 in defensive field goal percentage themselves, winners of 6 out of their last 7. When it comes to offensive production, Cleveland averages over 122 points per contest. They are currently the best 3-point shooting team in the league. Darius Garland makes 43% of his long balls, second on the roster in scoring. Donovan Mitchell averages a team-high 24 points a game. Now, injury-wise, Hunter and Merrill are questionable. Okoro and Wade are out. Meanwhile, for the T-Wolves, Conley and Edwards are day-to-day for them. Randall and DiVincenzo still inactive. Total-wise, the T-Wolves saw unders recently versus Portland, Washington, and Atlanta. Meanwhile, Cleveland saw unders in 2 out of their last 3. I like the Cavaliers minus 9.5, under 230. Next matchup, Spurs-Wizards, 7 o'clock East. San Antonio's minus 11.5, totals 237. The Spurs are a top 10 offensive rebounding team, 7th in assists. Victor Wembanyama leads the roster in points, rebounds, and blocks. Devin Vassell scores 16 points a game. And they're facing a Washington squad who lost 7 out of their last 10. They're actually just 9-43 overall for the year. Washington allows more points a game than any other team, dead last in defensive boards. When it comes to the injury list, Washington actually has like 1 million guys on the injury report, so I'll let you check that out on your own. Meanwhile, for San Antonio, Bassey's still out for them. The Spurs saw overs in their last 3 straight, 7-2 to the over in their last 9. Meanwhile, Washington saw overs in 5 out of their last 9 themselves. I like the Spurs minus 11.5, over 237. All right, next game, Celtics Heat, 7:30 p.m. East. Boston's minus 5.5, totals 219. The Celtics are 37-16 on the year. Miami's playing just 500 basketball. The Heat's also got a losing record against the point spread, failed to cover in 6 out of their last 9. Miami's a bottom 10 point producing team, bottom 10 in shooting from the field. Meanwhile, Boston allows only 108 points per contest, 5th in the league in blocks. Devin White's got the most blocks on the roster. Kristaps Porzingis snagged 7 rebounds a game. Tatum and Brown are questionable for Boston. Craig and Holiday still out. Meanwhile, for the Heat, Jaquez and Jovic are day-to-day for them. Even if Tatum and Brown don't suit up, I think Boston has enough depth to get the job done here. I like the Celtics minus 5.5. Next matchup, Hornets-Nets, 7:30 p.m. East. Brooklyn's minus 3.5, totals 213. And I'll tell you, as bad as Brooklyn's been, they still do have a winning record against the point spread. Actually went 4-1 against the number in their last 5. Meanwhile, Charlotte, 13-37 on the year, losers of 8 out of their last 10. The Hornets are the worst field goal shooting team in the league, bottom 3 in points. And as bad as Brooklyn's been, well, they do play tough on defense. They're in the top 10 in points allowed, top 10 in defensive boards. Clowney, Thomas, Bogey, they are out for the Nets. Russell's day-to-day. Meanwhile, for Charlotte, Diabate, Smith, and Nurkic are questionable. Ball's still out. Brooklyn went 8-2 to the under in their last 10. Charlotte saw 7 out of their last 10 stay under the total themselves. I like Brooklyn minus 3.5, under 213. Next matchup, Pelicans Thunder, 8 o'clock East. OKC's minus 15, totals 236. Thunder is 42-10, 69% against the point spread. Meanwhile, the Pelicans are 12-40 on the year, losing record against the number. The Pelicans failed to cover in 7 out of their last 9, 24th in points per game. And no real surprise here, the Pelicans are in the bottom 10 in shooting from the field. Now, OKC on the other side, first in defensive field goal percentage, first in guarding the 3 ball. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has the most steals on the roster, club leader in scoring. Meanwhile, Dort and Joe are knocking down 41% of their 3 balls combined. Of course, when it comes to offensive production, OKC's the best free throw shooting team in the game. Thunder saw unders recently versus Memphis, Milwaukee, and Portland. Meanwhile, the Pelicans saw unders recently versus the Raptors and Hornets. I like OKC minus 15, under 236. Next game, Warriors-Bucks, 8 o'clock East. Golden State's minus 6.5, totals 232. The Warriors are in the top 10 in defensive scoring. Milwaukee's 4th in defensive field goal percentage. The Bucks saw unders in 3 out of their last 4. When it comes to the injury list, Connaughton and Giannis are out for Milwaukee. Curry's questionable for Golden State. I like the under 232. Next contest, Kings, Mavs, 8:30 East. Dallas is 1.5, total 238. The Mavs saw unders recently versus Houston and Detroit. They're also in the top 10 in three-pointers allowed on D. That's fewest three-pointers allowed. Meanwhile, Sacramento saw unders recently versus Portland, Philadelphia, and Brooklyn. Christie, Exum, Washington, and Davis are questionable for Dallas. I like the under 238. Next matchup, Blazers, Nuggets, 9 o'clock East. Denver's 9.5, totals 230 and a hook. The Nuggets are 34-19, winning record against the spread. Portland, 23-30 on the year, bottom 5 in scoring. Denver, 4th in defensive boards, 7th in free throws allowed. When it comes to offensive production, the Nuggets currently lead the league in field goals per game. Nikola Jokic averages over 29.5 points a night, dozen rebounds, double-digit assists. Jamal Murray scoring 20 points a game himself. Watson and Westbrook are still out for Denver. Porter's day-to-day. Meanwhile, for the Blazers, Williams and Thibault are questionable for them. The Blazers saw overs recently versus the Suns, Bucks, and Thunder. Meanwhile, Denver saw 5 out of their last 9 get over the line themselves, throwing out that Phoenix contest. I like the Nuggets minus 9.5, over 230 and a hook. And with that, we're going to jump into our next and final breakdown for the video. It's going to be in that Jazz-Lakers game, 10:30 Eastern tip-off. The Lakers are minus 213, totals 235. The Lakers are 31-19, winning record against the point spread. Utah 12-39 overall, losers of 8 out of their last 10. Utah is giving up just about 120 points a game. They're dead last in defensive turnovers. And I'll tell you, they're facing a Laker club who's 6th in shooting from the field, 3rd in free throws made. LeBron and Reddish are questionable for Los Angeles. Doncic and Kleba still out. Meanwhile, for Utah, marketing Kessler and Williams are day-to-day. Sexton still out. The Jazz saw overs in their last 3 straight. Lakers went 5-1 at the over in their last 6. I like the Lakers minus 13 over 235. And with that, we're going to jump into our quick pick recap. Starting off in college basketball, I like Lafayette plus 3 over 132. Yeah. Okay, just check. Lafayette plus, damn it. Give me 1 sec, guys. There we go. Sorry, my notes got all jumbled. I don't know. Anyway, Lafayette plus 3 over 132. Florida A&M plus 1 over 149.5. Mississippi Valley State plus 18 under 127. Southern minus 2.5 under 142. I like the over 144 in that North Carolina Clemson game. McNeese State minus 19 over 135.5. Nicholls State minus 6.5, getting the job done against Northwestern State. Incarnate Word minus 11.5 over 146 and a hook. Stephen F. Austin minus 3, getting the job done against UT Rio Grande Valley. Howard minus 7.5 over 152 and a hook. Arkansas Pine Bluff plus 13 over 154.5. Texas Southern minus 3, getting the job done against Bethune-Cookman. Campbell minus 11.5 over 141. I like the over 142.5 in that Southeastern Louisiana Houston Christian game. Texas A&M Corpus Christi plus 2 over 142, under 140.5 in the Grambling Alabama A&M game. Florida Atlantic minus 13.5 under 150. Houston minus 8.5 under 132. Nevada minus 14 over 142. NBA over 222 in the Hawks Magic game. Cavaliers minus 9.5 under 230. Spurs minus 11.5 over 237. Celtics minus 5.5, getting the job done against the Heat. Brooklyn Nets minus 3.5 under 213. Thunder minus 15 under 236. I like the under 232 in that Warriors-Bucks game. Under 238 in the Kings-Mavericks game. Nuggets minus 9.5 over 230 and a hook. And give me the Lakers minus 13 over 235. And with that, folks, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on my premium site, where once again we are 2-0 in our last 2 Gold Club tier package plays. And just a friendly reminder, if you sign up for that full access, all-inclusive package, you're going to get access to every single premium selection of mine, every single package, every single day for the next 30 days. So anyway, yeah, 2-0. Let's go ahead and go 3-0 in our last 3 in that package alone. But most importantly, folks, got to thank you for joining me right here on the free video. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, folks, happy Monday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my premium page.